biggest marketing that we had, which was our feature on Dragon's Den, that really blew up the business. One of our other co-founders had the Shopify app. It was just going ding, 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 with just orders coming through. Then Boots emailed us, guys, what's happened? We need more stock like tomorrow. Obviously, we had no stock. We sold it all out. Conventional toothpaste has got ingredients in it like palm oil. They've also got SLS in it. It's a really harsh chemical. You don't need it in shampoos and conditioners. They're starting to actually take it out. But yeah, we're still putting it in our mouths.
How do you change people's habits? That seems like such a difficult thing to do as a challenger brand.
First of all, just communicating what we are, what our product format is. The second was then, why is this product better for you? We have a range of toothpaste tablets, mouthwash, compostable brushes, compostable floss. We wanted something that looks really beautiful and something that is in line with your skincare and things that you're proud to show off. We bought Boots, Waitrose, Sainsbury's and Ocado all on in the same year.
How did you do that? Hayley, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks so much for having me on.
No, my absolute pleasure. This is the last time actually that we're recording in the studio. So yeah, it's an honor to have you on as the very last guest in the studio, which is cool.
I feel honored.
Yeah. It's been a while since we recorded in Brixton. I think we've been recording here for maybe like a year and a half. So yeah, it's been a good while, but we're moving, which is amazing news. So yeah, tell me about Parla.
Yeah, so Parla is an oral care brand that is designed by 3 of the UK's leading dentists. So it's designed primarily to be good for you, but also for the planet. So yeah, the 3 founders, Dr. Simon, Rona and Adarsh, came together with a mission to eradicate a lot of the single-use plastic that we see coming out of the very outdated oral care category. So there's a stat that we always like to tell people, which is every single toothpaste tube you've ever used is still existing somewhere on this planet. So
Wow.
they take over 500 years to decompose. So
That's the plastic, right?
that's the plastic. So anything you've touched as a child is going to outlive your children's children on this planet, which is crazy when you think about it. So they take 500 years to decompose. And there really isn't a solution yet in the market that is tackling that problem face on. So that's Parla really. I mean, we have a range of toothpaste tablets, mouthwash, compostable brushes, compostable floss. And we're now listed in the likes of Sainsbury's, Waitrose, Boots, Ocado, Whole Foods, amongst many more great retail partners that have supported our mission from the start.
Yeah. When I first started researching into Parla and the whole mission behind it and everything, and I started to actually think about the whole toothpaste market, it's literally only dominated by like 2 companies. Like there's Oral-B and Colgate, and there's like a few smaller ones below that, but I can't really name them that much. And funny enough, I did a blog a while ago during like lockdown, and this blog did like fairly well. And it was called the Toothbrush Test. I was writing about entrepreneurship, and I don't know if you've heard this, but it's what the old CEO of Google used to use to evaluate whether they should buy a company or not in terms of an acquisition.
Okay.
And in his mind, if they can buy a company that people use once or twice a day, so like a toothbrush or like a toothpaste, then it's so well ingrained into people's habits that it would be a very likely to be good acquisition. And that's why they acquired like Google and a lot of these other acquired YouTube and a lot of these other companies that people use on a regular basis. And then I started to like think about it. And a toothbrush or a toothpaste brand that you guys are building it's literally that, but it hasn't really been innovated at all that I can think of.
Yeah, and it's completely that. It's dominated by certain players in the category. And obviously they're the big brands that we know of. And it is, like you mentioned about it being a habit, it is a habit of a lifetime. And changing a habit, and especially with Parla, we're toothpaste tablets.
It's also generational as well. So
Exactly.
It's like the parents give it to the children give it to the, like it's like if you think about it, that's what it is, right?
Exactly. And I mean, when you think about going to the supermarket, wherever you buy your toothpaste from, you're walking down that aisle and you're in complete, you're in autopilot. You're not thinking about what you're picking up. Everything is red, blue, white. You just go and you pick up a toothpaste and you don't think about it, but you'll go to the pasta aisle or something like that and you'll stand and think about it for absolutely ages because you think, what do I want for dinner tonight? Or what do I want to buy? So that's what's been a really big challenge for us, is getting people to change that habit, change that desire away from kind of the traditional what they know. We were trained in Aquafresh by the 90s to put this massive long bit of toothpaste on your brush. It's actually super wasteful. You don't need that much toothpaste. It just encourages you to use more, go through the product quicker. And especially with Parla, because we do a lot of our toothpaste in tablet format, it's the perfectly dosed amount. So you know exactly how much you need. There's no excess wastage. You're not overusing it. So yeah, that's been a really big part of kind of getting that education across to people has been one of our big challenges.
Yeah, I do want to go into that a bit later, but taking a step back in terms of the business and the idea of where it came from. So as you said, started by dentists, but I guess where did the actual crux of the idea come from? I know the sustainability was the main angle, but yeah, I guess where did it come from?
Yeah, so our three founders are all still practicing dentists. They split their time between dentistry and Parla. And that's a really unique thing for us because they bring so much clinical expertise with them about the actual ingredients. So aside from the sustainability side of things, the actual ingredients in the products was really important to the founders. So conventional toothpaste has got ingredients in it like palm oil, which is the leading cause of deforestation in the world. They've also got SLS in it, which is sodium lauryl sulfate. That's actually a foaming agent. So it's what's in shampoos, not conditioners, but soap. And that's actually really harsh. It's a really harsh chemical. You don't need it in shampoos and conditioners. They're starting to actually take it out. But yet we're still putting it in our mouths, which is crazy. So we've decided to take out things like palm oil, SLS. A lot of toothpaste on the market actually aren't vegan as well. They're still tested on animals, or they sell into markets where it's tested on animals. That's something that the founders wanted to completely eradicate. And just putting in better for you ingredients. So fluoride is a very topical ingredient at the moment. It's the number one ingredient to prevent against dental decay. So we wanted to make sure that we had fluoride in the toothpaste in order to actually give you something that a dentist would recommend. Because there are some other eco-friendly products on the market that if you went and asked your dentist, is this good for me to use? They'd instantly turn their nose up at it because it doesn't have the correct ingredients in. So that's why Parla's quite uniquely positioned, really, because we have that clinical expertise, but have also taken out anything that you don't need, but also revolutionized the product format in order to have that sustainability aspect.
And then what was the next stage in terms of the ideation stage, and then, bringing the product to market or experimenting, or, what was the process there?
Yeah, so there was a lot of product development that went into these tabs, and there is so much more that is ongoing. So Parla is an omnichannel distribution. So we not only supply to our retail partners, but we also supply direct to dental practices as well as direct to consumer. So we offer a subscription-based model. So what that means is we get constant customer feedback. So we are able to constantly iterate on the product. We're able to constantly improve the product, which is really great. So that helped us really early on with kind of fine-tuning the formulations and the product. In terms of then getting it to market, I think one thing to highlight was just how much time went into the design of the product. So our founder, Simon, always wears a Parla hat with our logo on. And he always says to people, you wouldn't wear a hat with Colgate on, but you would wear this hat because it's cool. And I think that's really important because we wanted a product that was visually beautiful. It's not something in your bathroom that you're going to, put in the cupboard and close it away when people come over. We wanted something that looks really beautiful and something that is in line with your skincare and things that you're proud to show off. So a lot of work went into the design of the products, and they are really, really beautiful, if I do say so myself. And then it was just about really getting it out there. So the uptake into the retail market in particular, we grew really quickly. So we bought Boots, Waitrose, Sainsbury's and Ocado all on in the same year, pretty much. So it was a lot to go from zero to hero all at once.
Let's talk about that, because this is an extremely competitive space, right?
Yeah.
Especially in these big retailers. Yeah, and as I said, you have Oral-B and Colgate that just dominate it. And it's not just one product each. They have, multiple products each. So in terms of like buying that shelf space and convincing the retailers that, it's a good bet to make, how did you do that with, let alone like not just one, but all of them in the same year?
Yeah, I mean, it was certainly difficult, but as you say, it's so competitive and buyers get 1 million emails a day, I'm sure, from brands that want to be on shelves. And it is difficult. I mean, we've been so lucky with the buyers that we have worked with that all of them share, our desire to remove plastic from the category. And I think where oral care or the dental aisle is 100% plastic, we were coming in with a 0% plastic, zero waste, refillable option. So for them, it was not an easy choice because obviously giving away that space on shelf is still, it's so precious. Ultimately they're a business. They have to know that they're going to make the money back. And if, as you say, they're taking it off, a big plastic product that has a proven rate of sale and giving it to, a smaller brand and a new product format that is, quite a challenger brand.
It's a risk for them, yeah.
It's certainly a risk, but we've just been so lucky that they've supported our mission. And they've been fantastic. I mean, Sainsbury's put us on the Future Brands program, which is a program which is designed to give additional support for innovative challenger brands. So we were really lucky to have a fantastic suite of support from them. Similarly, just our other retail partners, we've had distribution increases. They've taken on more of our range. So really doubling down on the plastic-free message. And I think for them, it's just been really great because they have a way to reduce their plastic consumption in an easier way than, these sort of recycled plastic tubes, which is a whole nother problem. And they're it's such a problematic selling point because a recycled plastic or a recyclable plastic tube, there's a statistic that is something like only 12% of all plastics actually get recycled, even less of that from the bathroom. And when you think about those tubes, what you actually have to do is cut the top off and cut the tip off. You have to clean it out and then put it in your recycling. Most local councils actually aren't set up to actually recycle that type of plastic, or they see it, assume it's plastic, and will put it in general waste. So really, when you think about it, they're not really doing anything. They're just delaying the problem for the next generation, even if they are making their way into being recycled.
No, it's a really good point. I want to talk about this because we have so many young entrepreneurs that watch and listen to this podcast, and a lot of them have, physical product goods. What advice would you have for them when it comes to, convincing a retailer to stock it on their shelves? Because that's such a, it's probably the most important distribution channel that a physical product can have.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at the moment, challenger brands are, they're really having a moment. I mean, retailers are coming out in support with challenger brand incubators. So I know the Co-op are, Waitrose are, Sainsbury's, and a host of others. It is difficult. I think my key piece of advice would be know your product, know that you have a USP and make that really clear. If you're, for example, the ready to drink category, so canned drinks, takeaway drinks, it's really popular at the moment and the category is definitely booming. But, there's 100 brands that do the same thing. And I think just knowing that you have a product that is unique and being able to communicate that to a buyer and allowing them to see who your customer is really important. And I think that goes miles with retailers.
So you do retailers, but you also do direct to consumer and other. So you say omni-channel. How important is that as well? Because so many people think, you have to get into retail, and obviously you guys are in retail as well. But how valuable are those other channels that you guys are on as well?
So valuable. I mean, our direct to consumer. So how it works, just for context, is you sign up on a subscription or not. And then every 4 months, your tabs get redelivered to you, but in a compostable sachet. So you can refill your jar at home and it's truly closed loop. It's zero waste. You can put the compostable refill just straight into your food caddy and it will biodegrade over time. But those customers that we have direct to consumer through our website and through that channel, they're really important to us because it's a direct line of communication that we have. And for us, that's really special. And over the 4 or 5 years of trading that we've now had, we have an amazing community of people that have been with us from the start and just love the product. They love what we stand for and they've really grown with us.
Yeah.
And they've been a fundamental part of shaping not only the product, but feeding in, what products do they want? What sizes do they want? Do they have feedback on your price point? So for us, that's been, a really, really important channel. I mean, as you say, retail is very competitive and people do think they need to be in retail to be successful. And I would say that while retail is an amazing channel, it doesn't have to be your only channel or doesn't have to be your main focus. And I almost feel retailers sometimes like the fact that you have your own channel because it's proof of sales, proof of concept. You have an audience that you can directly speak to and market to, which is wonderful. But yeah, I mean, the retail landscape is definitely tough. And obviously you have to think you're selling through a third-party person, so you're never going to make quite as much money as you do selling direct to consumers.
The way I think about it, I'm not in FMCG or anything like close to what you guys do. However, from my perspective, it looks like you have the retail channel where it's all about sort of volume. So it's all about sort of people coming in. But I feel like the consumer loyalty of those individual consumers isn't actually that high. Like they would use other brands and stuff. You basically have to try to count on them like converting to you guys on a longer term basis, which is difficult. But then you have the direct consumer routes. But these guys are sort of die hard your brand, and even doing things like subscription is like a mental barrier to get over in order to like buy into a brand, right? So if they're on a subscription, that's also like another mental hurdle that they've overcome. One, like buying your product, but then also committing to like doing it every month. Like that's a pretty big mental strain. So I feel like that audience that you've built, even though it must be like fewer people than what you'd get on retail, the quality of those customers is far higher. I don't know if you disagree.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, our direct-to-consumer channel is really important to us. It's people that have committed to the subscription, they've committed to Parla, and they like using the product. And for them, it's easy because they don't have to think, oh, I've run out of toothpaste. It's delivered straight to their door. And I mean, subscription-based businesses, we now see more and more of them popping up. So razors, men's skincare, there's so many. And I think it's just taking that kind of choice, well, not choice, but the difficulty of having to go out and purchase away from the consumer. It's just much easier for them. But yeah, obviously, naturally, you don't have the same volume as you would do in retail, just because your footfall is so much less. Whereas, in the shelves of Sainsbury's, they get hundreds of thousands of people every day. So your volumes will be naturally higher. But as you say, you can't really track your customer retention as well. We can't directly speak to those customers unless I'm physically in the store shouting at them to buy Parla. So yeah, it's just completely different channels, both completely valuable to the business, but both with their own pros for sure.
I want to talk about something that you talked about at the very beginning, and that is changing people's habits. A lot of businesses that come on the podcast and a lot of people who have got their businesses listening to this, changing people's habits is kind of a core thing that they have to do, because it's all about, especially in like sustainability or something more, I guess, purpose driven, because people don't have maybe the education, they don't really understand why it's a problem and stuff like that. The accessibility might be low. So when it comes to changing people's habits, I think that's such a like large friction point for a challenger brand to come into, because they might be using it, as we said, for like generations, right? Like parents and then children. How do you change people's habits? That seems like such a difficult thing to do as a challenger brand.
Yeah, you're right. And I mean, for Parla, that's been our biggest challenge, is educating people not only on what we are, because it's, innovation in dental is so new. There hasn't been innovation in dental in years. So people were shocked to see that innovation coming into the market. So first of all, just communicating what we are, what our product format was our first big bit of education that we needed. The second was then, why is this product better for you? So for example, our retail partners have been really supportive with that. So marketing through them to consumers on the benefits of Parla has been a really big part of our journey. But obviously just education around dental is slow. And I would say, especially during COVID, NHS wait times for dental appointments were so long. People were going online looking for DIY dentistry. That was obviously catastrophic, because, your oral health is so important to your wider health. And I mean, even now, there's more and more education coming up around the oral microbiome and how that causes, changes in your wider health. For example, it can lead to erectile dysfunction. It can, lead to poor gut health. So gut health actually starts in the mouth, but that's never communicated, because it's almost like when we think about wellness and whole body wellness, you think about everything but your mouth, because often in today's media, your teeth are seen as something cosmetic, which we completely support, because everyone wants to have, a nice, perfect smile.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to it, and it's more about your health. So yeah, education for us has been a really big point.
And what are the key, I guess, like pillars when it comes to changing people's opinions and educating or whatever it is? Like, how do you communicate that, maybe from the brand, like social media? Like what's been what's moved the needle the most, would you say?
That's a good question. So all of our 3 founders have quite big profiles across TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, social media. So as dentists, people look to them for advice. So they have been a wonderful channel for us to get across that education. So I know we spoke about it briefly, but the ingredients in conventional toothpaste are often really bad for you. There's harsh chemicals, it's not ideal. So they've been really great for getting that education across, telling people, this is what is in toothpaste. This is why it's not so great for you, but this is what Parla has, which is going to help improve your oral health. So their platforms have been amazing. And yeah, the power of social media is wonderful. So we don't pay for any kind of social media influencer placement, but we've had some really great uptake from models, celebs, some organic TV features. So we were on this morning with Holly Willoughby, which was amazing. Watched her kind of try the tablets on air. So yeah, the education is slowly getting out there and more people are starting to understand now. Had you asked your dentist 5 years ago, 10 years ago, should I use a toothpaste tablet? They would have said no, because they would have thought, I don't know what's inside it. It's better to stick to one of the big boys and use a brand that we know. Whereas nowadays, it's actually, if you said to a dentist, I'm thinking about using Parla, you'd be hard pressed to find a dentist that now hadn't heard of us and didn't know what our ingredients were.
So would you say, in this instance, at least from what your experience has been, the founder-led sort of social media side of things has been really valuable, and then also getting endorsements from, I guess, like key people, like models maybe that care about sustainability, or like TV programs that care about sustainability as well? Would you say it's like those maybe 2?
Yeah, definitely. People want to see the founders using the product. They want to hear more about how it was made. And I think more now than ever, people are really invested in founder-built businesses. So they want to feel like they have that personal connection to the brand. And that's been really nice for Parla, because our customers feel like they have a personal connection to us. They know they can reach out to us, ask us questions, give product feedback. So that's been a really big channel for us. But I would be silly if I didn't mention probably the biggest marketing that we had, which was our feature on Dragon's Den. So that really blew up the business. So we got asked to go on Dragon's Den back in 2020, I want to say, with our episode airing in 2021. And we couldn't have imagined the response that we got from that. Like, we completely sold out of stock within about 5 minutes.
Wow.
We had a record. Yeah, I think it's still one of our best performing days in history. Just because of the sheer amount of exposure that we got. So that was amazing, because people could, they got to see the founders explain the product, give the education. And that was almost like a litmus test for us, because we got to see, okay, when we are in front of people and we tell them what we are and why we are doing it, this is the response that we get. So we knew from then that getting kind of vocal education across was going to be the most important thing for the brand.
When Dragon's Den aired, what was the response in terms of, I guess, like, you don't have to give like specific numbers, but in terms of like sales, social media uptick, and like, I don't know, messages, like what was the response literally on that day, or within 5 minutes of it airing?
Yeah, it was crazy. So I remember we were all at our co-founder Simon's house, and Ads, who is one of our other co-founders, had the Shopify app up on his phone. And it was from kind of 30 seconds in, it was just going ding, 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 with just orders coming through. And we hadn't really told, at that point we were stocked in Boots. They were our first retailer, and we hadn't really told anyone that we were going to go on it, because they don't actually tell you before you go on, what they're going to show. So we were all a little bit nervous, because obviously, they can cut it in any way they want. So we didn't really tell anyone, and we had our warehouse calling us and saying, what the hell is going on? Is the system broken? What's happening? And we were like, oh no, we went on Dragon's Den. Then Boots emailed us, guys, what's happened? We need more stock tomorrow. Obviously, we had no stock. We sold it all out. So yeah, it was a really busy few days, but the response was amazing. And yeah, socials, our emails went crazy with customer queries. When's this going to be back in stock? When can I do this? Have you thought about this? And yeah, it was really nice. People gave us some amazing ideas for the brand, because this was so early on. But yeah, we ended up getting 2 offers from Tej and Deborah, but we turned them down because they wanted far too much of the business.
With Dragon's Den and FMCG products, I feel like it's such a marriage made in heaven, because people can just buy it instantly. It's not like a SaaS service that's B2B, and it's just perfect in my opinion. So I feel like I'm getting the response from you that any FMCG product should be trying to get on Dragon's Den. But in terms of like the business before and after Dragon's Den, because you always hear stories of, stock selling out literally within 5 minutes of it being there. But then are there any like long-term like benefits? Like what long-term benefits have you guys got from like the post Dragon's Den experience?
Yeah. So, I mean, of course, like brand awareness is the number one thing. I mean, even to this day, we still get people saying us, oh yeah, I saw you on Dragon's Den, or oh yeah, I think, weren't you on Dragon's Den?
And that's like a few years on.
Yeah, but it's like 4 years on, 3 years on now, which is great. But yeah, that's probably the biggest thing, is just brand awareness. People now understand the product format a lot better. Obviously, yeah, there's other things like, we had a massive uplift in customers, some of which are still, a lot of which are still with us today, which is fantastic. But yeah, the brand awareness piece was probably the best thing. But also for our two founders, Simon and Rona, who were the ones that did the pitch, we're currently now going through our own funding round. So I think that experience of having that high pressure pitching and, experience, and especially for dentists where they don't come from FMCG, they've been on this really steep learning curve where now, they're still in the clinic, but they know how to run an FMCG business. So they've massively upskilled themselves, which is amazing. And I think that experience of Dragon's Den has really carried through the rest of the business and allowed them to be, leaders of this brand, but also go out to, investors now for the business because they had that really early experience.
They asked you, or did you apply?
They asked Parla. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think they actually scout a lot of brands.
Really?
I think you can apply, but...
I've had a lot of businesses on the podcast before that have been on Dragon's Den. And yeah, some people have been asked, but most of them that I've spoken to, they've applied themselves.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, no, we'd never really... Because obviously we were so early into our trading journey. We had I think 2 months of sales under our belt or something.
Really? Wow.
Stupid
so
like that.
You can be really early and still get not only a place, but like 2 offers.
Yeah, I think it was just because the press and the buzz that Parla had created around its launch, because, it was coming out of a really outdated industry. Everyone was really excited. Their position within the dental industry meant that, this massive group of dentists were really excited about it and just wanted to see what happened. So yeah, the press that we had was fantastic around the launch. And I think the BBC obviously saw that and thought, this could be interesting. We haven't really had anything in toothpaste or, dental to come on the show before. So yeah.
Very, very interesting. I want to look forward now. So with Parla going in the next sort of few years, like what's the vision now? Like what does the future hold?
Yeah, so the vision for Parla really is just to convert more people into the brand. So we have an amazing base to now work off. So obviously we have retail listings, we have a fantastic customer base. We obviously have demands for a greater product portfolio, which I can't say too much on, but that's going to be a really big part of our 2025 mission, is bringing out more products, catering for more specific needs for your oral health. That's going to be a really big part, but just brand awareness, really. I mean, getting people to keep making that change. Marketing, is a really big part of what we want to focus on now. So we've had great traction so far, but as with any brand, there's always more to be done and always more you can be doing. So that's going to be a big part.
Is the UK, I'm just interested in this, is the UK, because you guys are a British company, is the UK a good market when it comes to sustainability products, or have you seen better uptake in other maybe European countries? What have you experienced when it comes to sustainability?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I mean, I think the UK is definitely very switched on, especially we find personally for us, it's either city-centric areas or areas that are by the coast or in areas of really nice natural beauty. Because for us in particular, a big part of our messaging is removing plastic from the oceans and the planet. I think people that live in cities see the plastic pollution on the streets a lot more than you do, say, in the countryside. So I think it's more at the front of your mind. Similarly with people that live, for example, Cornwall and Devon are a really big area of where we have a lot of Parla supporters because they live in the, in the beautiful outdoors, by the oceans. They really have that passion for cleaning up our planet. So I'd say the UK is a fantastic market for it. Something I didn't mention is that we're also a B Corp certified brand. So we attained our B Corp certification, I think, earlier this year. And that for us has been amazing because it's just allowed us to set out commitments to further reduce our impact on the planet. And also, there's currently no other B Corp certified brand in the UK grocery market within oral care. So yeah, it's really unique for us. And 65% of shoppers want to shop B Corp certified brands. And I think it's just a really nice way to be able to show your commitment. And the UK consumers especially do look for that and are making more conscious choices. So yeah, I think nowadays there's an expectation on brands to make that decision for the consumer. Like, I'm not going to choose a product because it's better for the planet if it's not equally as good as for me, for my health. So we want to take that away from the consumer so they don't have to think, they just have to choose the product that is better for them.
Yeah. And then outside of the UK, have you seen specific uptick in countries? Like, are there any countries that like stood out, or have you guys just focused on the UK for now?
So yeah, the majority of our distribution at the moment is in the UK because, I mean, before we even expand, really into other markets, we want to really smash the UK market. And there's a lot more work to be done on that, new retailers to bring in, more customers to convert. But we are trading in other countries across Europe. Our direct-to-consumer channel goes all the way to Australia. So we have customers all over the globe. But yeah, Europe's been a really great uptake. The Netherlands are very turned on in terms of sustainability as well. So they're a great market for us. But yeah, focusing on the UK for now.
Amazing. Hayley, we're going to wrap up the podcast there. It's been such a pleasure having you on. How can people stay in touch with you and Parla going forward?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's been really great. I'm sure you can leave my email in the comments or description. So yeah, please feel free to reach out to us at any point. We'd love to hear from you, or yeah, if we can offer any help to anyone out there, please just get in touch.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much again.
Thank you so much.
See you very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for clicking on this episode of The Millennial Entrepreneur. The ambition of the podcast is to share relatable stories from young entrepreneurs doing some incredible things to inspire the next generation, including you listening wherever you are. We've been doing this podcast for over 3 years and the ambition has not changed. The only thing that has changed is the scale of where we want to go. We want to bring on bigger guests for you guys to show more and more relatable stories from young entrepreneurs across the world. The majority of you guys watching or listening haven't subscribed to the podcast yet. All you have to do is click that subscribe button wherever you're listening, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and that will allow us to bring on bigger guests and ask the questions that you really want to hear. And it really is that simple.